Okay, I hope you are there on the other side. Let me start by saying that when we try to understand Walter Benjamin's conception in the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction, we cannot understand it without really referring to his notion of time. And I did a short video on it yesterday, and some of you might have seen it, and I would want you to see it because that's a kind of a curtain raiser to really what I yesterday called going beyond what feels like a technological empiricism, a mechanical empiricism. I won't say determinism, empiricism. So the notion of time becomes very important. Now, as we know that in this course, we are also going to do a very, very key thinker without whose work, critical theory becomes almost impossible, one can dare say, and that's Karl Marx. And I think we get a way to get into Marx through Benjamin. I'll just draw your attention to one essay by one particular section from Benjamin's essay on the thesis on the philosophy of history, and that is number 11, thesis on the philosophy of history, which lays out a bit of its conception of the way he is looking at Marx. And this is a very important section, section 11 of the thesis on the philosophy of history, because it also allows us to tie up or engage with or really look at what Ernst Jünger is saying. I know, when it comes to Ernst Jünger and Walter Benjamin, we can refer to Walter Benjamin's essay, which is a review of the work done by Ernst Jünger, Theories of Fascism, that essay by Walter Benjamin. But I think there are this flash of an insight that you find in the thesis on the philosophy of history, which kind of really, in a very pithy paragraph, Benjamin really, in a way, sums up what Junger is saying, without, of course, referring to Junger. The way he brings in Junger is by saying how the worker, if not the working class, is presented as riding on this new wave, like the zeitgeist of the time, and the worker is presented as really at the cutting edge of what is trending in society, what entire society is going towards, and the worker is the embodiment of that advanced movement towards which entire society is going. It's like you're talking about social media today. I don't know. You can say that when it comes to social media, it's the digital activists and digital workers who are really at the cutting edge, something like that. But the way he says it is by saying that I'll just read some sections from this passage, section 11 from the essay. It says, Benjamin writes, there is nothing which has corrupted the German working class so much as the opinion that they were swimming with the tide. They're riding the wave. They're swimming with the tide. That was the opinion that was created, that the working class, the German working class, were swimming with the tide. So, then he writes, technical developments counted to them as the course of the stream. It feels like Benjamin is writing about himself when he's saying this. Technical developments counted to them as the course of the stream. And that's where we have to keep in mind that when we read the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction, he's not really saying that. He's not really saying, okay, technical developments is the one which is the trend, the stream, the big stream, that's where everything is there. He's not actually saying that, even though it feels like he's saying that. And that's where this para becomes important, where he's saying technical developments counted to them as the course of the stream, which they thought they were swimming in. right? From this, it was only a step to the illusion that the factory labor set forth by the path of technological progress represented a political achievement. It was presented as a political achievement that factory labor, intensified factory labor, which was what was facilitating the technological progress. That factory labor was presented, was packaged, was branded, was set forth as a political achievement. And hence the German working class had to really work more, for the nation or something. The old Protestant work, but this is not all. This is just the background. Because, mind you, I'm trying to take you to how from Benjamin we arrive at Marx. So, just by talking about factory labor, we are not already in Marx. That would be a very, what is called a vulgar empiricist notion of Marx, very limited understanding of Marx. And that's when we see, when we read further, Benjamin says, those who just joined right now, maybe this is section 11 from the thesis on the philosophy of history. I know I haven't given you as a reading earlier, or maybe I have, but this is to set the tone of the discussion today. The old Protestant work ethic, you all know about the Protestant work ethic, Weber's book. What is that? The Protestant ethic, work ethic. The old Protestant work ethic celebrated its resurrection among German workers in secularized form. The old Protestant work ethic celebrated its resurrection, the resurrection of the Protestant work ethic in a secularized form among German workers. Now, what does this say after that? The Gotha program, dating from the 1875 Gotha Congress, already bore traces of this confusion. There's a Gotha program, which is a program like a manifesto or something. That was also written by, produced by some kind of socialists. But Marx would be very critical of the Gotha program. That's why Marx has written Critique of the Gotha program. So the Gotha program already bore traces of this confusion. This is a confusion that the worker is kind of identified with the Protestant work ethic. The worker is presented as riding the tide of the technological progress, right? So there is this kind of a conflation, which I think Benjamin calls confusion. And then we read, it defined, the Gotha program already bore traces of this confusion. It defined labor as the source of all wealth and all culture. Labor as the source of all wealth, all culture. Do you think that's true? Do you think, coming from a Marxist perspective, one would say that labor is the source of all wealth and all culture? Do Marxists believe in that? Or is that the teaching of Marx? Now, a lot of socialists thought, yes, that is the teaching of Marx. But Marx said, no, you're wrong. In fact, that is a dangerous trend to think that labor is the source of all wealth and all culture. Suspecting the worst. What did Marx suspect in this announcement that labor is the source of all wealth and all culture? He suspected the worst, right? You would think he was suspecting not the worst, but the best. Suspecting the worst, Marx responded that human being who owned no other property aside from his labor power must be the slave of other human beings who have made themselves into property owners. So they couldn't be riding any wave, Because the labor, what does it do? It owns, I mean, what is the condition of the labor? It owns no other property aside from his labor power. And then what happens with him? He must be the slave of other human beings who have made themselves into property owners. Oblivious to this, the confusion of only increased. And soon afterwards, Joseph Deitzen announced labor is the savior of modern times. Look at the way labor is hailed and celebrated by these other guys. And you thought Marx would also hail labor? Apologist there. Got to apologize to you there if you have imagined that Marx will hail labor in this manner. No, he doesn't. You can even say Marx cuts labor to size. Labor is the savior of modern times. In the improvement of labor consists the wealth which can now finally fulfill what no redeemer could hitherto achieve. That in the improvement of labor consists the wealth. Now you see with this coronavirus thing, all of you guys are saying, oh, you must take care of labor, poor migrant workers, they must be taken care of. Let's provide them food and everything, labor, labor, labor. And you feel like you're being so Marxist in saying that. You could be in saying that, but you could be really going in the worst direction. This term, suspecting the worst. When somebody says that, you must suspect the worst. you know, because what Marx does not do, Marx does not valorize labor in that way. It's not about getting carried away with emotions and sentiments, because it's not just about innocent emotions and sentiments to look at the working class or labor and thinking, wow, they are the ones one should really go and sit beside them and really help them and all of that. That could be charity. That could be some kind of another kind of bourgeois philanthropism. You can leave that to Bill Gates. Somebody recently said that this one, Hillary Clinton. Somebody said Hillary, in the midst of all this coronavirus debate about how we need to find a drug, medicine, a treatment for this coronavirus, and somebody said, yeah, we need to develop some vaccines. They said, but do you know, Hillary Clinton is the queen of vaccines. Wall Street capitalism is the queen, the king of vaccines. So let's not go there. Right? So you see, things are much more twisted or complicated, but then also interesting. So that what this guy, what the Gotha program is saying, what Joseph Deitzen is saying, that is what does Benjamin say then? So that is quote unquote from Marx, as in quote unquote from Joseph Deitzen, really valorizing, celebrating labor, that in the improvement of labor consists of wealth, which can now finally fulfill what no redeemer could hitherto achieve. The redeemer, as the labor is going to come and like save everyone. It's like the universal redeemer. God will come and then everything will be fine. At the day of final judgment, we'll all be redeemed of our sins, or this praschit, go take a dip in the holy river and your sins will be washed away, or do this pindadan after your parents die or something like that. So then, so that is quote unquote Joseph Deitzen. And then Benjamin writes, this vulgar Marxist concept of what labor is does not bother to ask the question of how its products affect workers. So long as these are no longer at their disposal, it wishes to perceive only the progression of the exploitation of nature. It wishes to perceive only the progression of the exploitation of nature, not the regression of society. It already bears the technocratic traces which would later be found in fascism. But that's a fascist concept. valorizing labor in that way is what fascism is. I would say today it's either fascism, or it is, or it is uh, um, either, yeah, or it is charity, but that's not what Marx is saying. So there you go. So with Walter Benjamin, then we see that he's entering Marx in that way, right? So this was just a way for you to really see how Benjamin really goes to Marx. In what way? If we get time, maybe later we will do the critique of the Gotha program in a much more detailed way. But today, what we'll do in the rest of the time is just like carry on with that little note I floated yesterday on his notion of time. And now this is something which we can't really cover, I think, in this lecture for some reason. But I think I want you guys to really think through yourself, because this you need to really imagine. You got to be imaginative. Uh, when you say when I say you need to imagine, it feels like you just need to, you know, uh, create things that are not true. Just imagine. No, not that. I'm just use your imagination, because the notion of time in Benjamin, you can approach in so many other ways, because it's not just about Benjamin. Take for example, when we say this notion viral, or the virus, the coronavirus, we say that there's a something viral fever. And what's it about viral fever? Everyone gets it. It's contagious. It's kind of moves very fast across a space, from bodies, across bodies. So, but then we also say viral as in something has gone viral. You know that someone's tweet has gone viral. Kanika Kapoor's news got viral. And in fact, there was this fake news thing that she was seen as also meeting Prince Charles. And when Prince Charles got coronavirus, people said, "Oh, look, he must have got it from this woman." And then later, it turns out that indeed she had met this guy, Prince Charles, but that was like some long time ago, 2 years ago or something. So it is not like this. But but that picture of she with Prince Charles in a public, setting, there were other people also, that went viral. So that's also viral. As you know, with the notion of viral, we also think about the global society. Like it's all interconnected world and blah blah blah, and it comes from some market. The virus comes from some market, some fish market, or some market somewhere in China, maybe in a small town in Wuhan, and then it comes to Wuhan, and then it goes to Italy, and then it comes everywhere. It becomes a global thing. It's like viral material. So one is the thing called virus, the other is the movement part, which is viral. So anything can be viral. Anything can, in that sense, be a virus. And you can say, like, really, sometimes some irritating guys who always follow you or keep coming at you, or someone, you say, it's such a virus. He's a virus. Just ubiquitous, this ubiquitousness, this omnipresence kind of thing, where it can be everywhere simultaneously. Now, you can totally imagine that this thing of being ubiquitous, being everywhere, present simultaneously, or spreading like this, it assumes a bit of a ability to, okay, fly. Let's just say that much. Now immediately come back to I do not know. I mean, we haven't done that essay, but I think I've referred earlier. George Simmel, yeah, Simmel has this essay, and I think I mentioned where in a city, urban space, I think when we were talking about Bombay and all, we say I mentioned that there's too much of sensory stimuli in a city, right? There's too much going on in those urban spaces, in those streets. There's too much happening, and you are dodging, you're dealing, you're crossing the road. There are people coming at you. You're trying to find your way through an urban space. It's a very dense and extremely heterogeneous space. And Simmel writes that because of that, maybe the way you psychologically deal with it or cope with it uh, is by taking a more intellectual kind of an approach to life. Whereas if you're living in a rural area, in villages where you don't have that kind of density of social space and that kind of heterogeneity, and that kind of stimuli from all corners, you would rather, your psychological disposition would be to really go for something into the detail, because there's so little happening in the village, out there in nature. Anyways, and I think I told you that, well, the even in the rural areas, you can of course say, but if you actually dig the grass or something, there might be some really unique kind of worms or something, some insects that throw some, they have their own light or something, and you're like, wow, look at that. So then you feel that, but you really have to go for that. In a city, I think it just comes at you like that. So the way Simmel says one copes with that is that by taking this intellectual approach. And then he has this thing that in urban areas people have that. So you are living in a city, and you are so used to this filth and impoverishment and beggars and everything, but you also inured to it. You are also so used to it that you don't notice it any longer. Somebody comes from somewhere to your city, maybe from outside this country, and they will say, oh my God, can't you notice, you're these people are there, and they'll just notice so much. So this thing, that even that attitude that you take of abstracting from these concrete kind of things coming at you, and that attitude, now that's also some kind of a viral where you can just like gloss over this and just move like this. There's a kind of a movement in that, right? So it's a dense street like that, but then you every day go to office from home, and then you walk through this street as though it's an empty street. You haven't seen anyone. That kind of viral nature. The so so the so of course, then on social media, this kind of viral is extremely easy, because internet is really that kind of space. It is a viral space. It is so suited for going viral. But don't forget, in this thing, and that's a conceptual point here that you are going to see, in this viral, one of the things that you see here is one, of course, I said the ability to abstract. But apart from the ability to abstract, viral, I'm also reminded of the word universal. Some kind of a universalism is going on in this. But also, you will see the viral also has the concept, I think, which most intimately describes viral, or allows us to approach it, is this notion of equivalence. Equivalence, the equalizing effect. Because it creates equivalences. And, these days with coronavirus, it's very easy to talk about these things. My cousin sister had called me recently, and then she say, how was it and all that. She doesn't call me so often. So what are you guys doing? How are you spending your time in the so I said, no, I mean, I'm spending the time exactly the way you are spending your time, because what the lockdown and coronavirus has done is that we are all in a similar position. We are all at home. We are all like doing our own little things or something. Yeah, this equalizing effect. It's a great equalizer. We talk about death as the great leveler. Here is the great equalizer of conditions. Apparently, for you guys, political theorists, I have to say, apparently this Tocqueville, the Alexei de Tocqueville, apparently when he's talking about what is it book on America, he has written, right? Democracy in America or something. There he talks about the equality of conditions. That's what democracy creates, the equalizing. All are like one person, one vote. Everybody has this thing. All are citizens. Everybody is endowed with natural justice, the rights and privileges of natural justice, and all that. So equivalence. It sets an equivalence, and see, when there is a festival, and everybody is part of that festival. There's Durga Puja, and you are in Calcutta. Oh my God, how can you be not part of it? There is Holi festival, and during Holi you are in Delhi. That's good enough, right? That's a great equalizer. It shuts down, and you're just like in the same situation, or maybe you're playing Holi in Mathura. In Delhi, at least you can sit back at home and not play Holi on the streets. I think in Mathura you got to do that. It's a kind of great equalizer. So this is equivalence created. So what the viral does, so the coronavirus in that sense is doubly viral, because one, it is a real virus, the other, it is viral. And what else can be viral but a virus like that, which is not even a bacteria, which is looking for cells to be its host. Yeah, in that sense, it's very parasitic. So this equivalence is very important here for us. Now, when an equivalence like that is created, and a domain, a plane is defined in which everybody kind of gets connected to that. The plane, as in the, like when you say plane of immanence, PLANE, that level, I mean, the plane. So that plane is created, that sphere is created, that domain, not a domain, that thing is created, in which all are kind of plugged in. It's like all of us breathe air. So we are all connected to air. Air is the universal equivalent or something like that. And in fact, it is, come to think of it. So with the viral, what you have is this equivalence that is created. So everybody is able to simultaneously connect to the same thing. Now, what does that mean when such a thing happens? Now here, and then I think we will get a sense of the notion of time. The notion of time that say we have in Benjamin, but also in others. Now this, we talked about coronavirus. We could say a similar thing about maybe language. Everybody is like connected through language. So here we are in this lecture. You are maybe some 20 people here. We're all speaking language. Of course, we are connected through this YouTube channel. We are connected through the internet. But what is connected is just a media, a medium, the vehicle through which the connection is made. But it's really this language which is in which you are also, we all kind of we congeal around this language. We speak, and then we share that, and then that language creates that, right? So language is also something which creates that universal equivalent. because we all speak the same language, and that's the way we connect to everyone, connects to everyone through that, right? That's also something in common. So, so this kind of equivalence that is created means that through language, say. So let's imagine a situation where there is no language, where there is no. Okay, what do I mean by that now? Let me refine that point. If I were to say, if I'm talking about a pre-linguistic existence, that I do not describe my situation in language or through speech, and then my situation is just what it is. So I'm with a bunch of people, um, and I'm so all our situations are just what it is. I don't have to interpret it. I don't have to define it. I don't have to say, yeah, it looked really bad, my situation, but I was doing fine. No, I don't have to do all of that. My situation is just what it is. So there's no representation. So my spatial determination is what it is, and that is not going to be now described, represented, blah blah blah, or painted or photographed or created a video of or taken a selfie of. No, none of that. It's just what it is. Where there is no that, right? I mean, to use a Benjaminian language, the aura is completely well preserved. The mechanical reproduction has not started. I mean, if someone were to say that the first mechanical reproduction actually started with language itself, because with language there's always that gap. Just as with mechanical reproduction of photography and all of that, and Benjamin would say that the aura is gone because the uniqueness of the place and time where it was first taken, that is lost now. It just gets replicated. So Mona Lisa is replicated everywhere. Some picture of Picasso is replicated everywhere, blah, blah, blah. So, right? So the basic thing here is, the key thing here is then that that there is, so the situation is as it is. There's no any kind of, I think representation does not fully capture the sense I'm trying to get here, so any kind of taking off, I don't even want to use the word abstraction, because that again sounds very heavy. Then in that case, what happens is that there is no framing of the any moment in time in a timeless way. There is no that conflict between the time bound ephemeral existence and the framing of that in a timeless image. It's imagelessness, let's say. There's no image, to the extent that the image means that what happened at a point in time is now congealed and put in place, and then it loses already that aura. I mean, the aura point is not important here. I'm just trying to, because we talked about it earlier in the Benjamin lecture, right? But what is the essential point here? So one, you are moving in time, but the other is the image, which then exists after the time, after the moment. In that sense, I'm saying it's timeless. Timeless, I mean, the way I know, the way we use the word timeless is like, oh, it's timeless. That means it's a precious, it's a great thing. It's timeless art or something. Timeless, priceless and timeless. And look at the intimacy of priceless and timeless. There's something about price and time, And that's also what Marx would teach you, to think about pricelessness and timelessness at the same time. Okay, so so image, right? So the image then. So the moment the image comes, the moment the image comes, Ashish, just focus on the lecture right now. We'll come to these other things. Just listen to this story right now. So the moment the image comes, then the the existence which I earlier described in a colloquial way, as in it is what it is. There's no expression. I'm not like describing. I'm not saying how I'm feeling, whatever my condition, right? That kind of let's say a situation of uh, of of it is what it is. Okay, so if we call that it is what it is, if we call that immanence. Actually, it's not really immanence, but let's, for the purposes of this lecture. So the immanence, because immanence is a very important concept. So there's a lot of debate around it. So I know it's very controversial for me to suggest that, but at some point I have to use some concepts. So on the one hand you have the image, which is quote unquote timeless, or which freezes time, let's say. And the other is this immanence. It is what it is. And you can cast that it is what it is moment only in that moment. And the fleeting and the transience of time really applies to it in its full meaning, in the full sense it applies. The transience of time, the fleeting character of time. But the image, as though the image is trying to escape that transitoriness, the fleetingness, the fleetiness. What is it called? I think it's the fleetiness of time. Now the task here for you, and a task which is already accomplished in practice by capitalism. But you have to do it because capitalism does not reveal that it is actually carrying out the task, and that's why you have to theoretically construct that, and that's your task in that sense. So your task uh, is then to really see what is the connection between this notion of the image in this sense, which tries to escape the transitoriness of the it is what it is situation, how this image is connected to the, now go back to the notion of equivalence, to the notion of equalization, to the viral, to the virus. That's what you got to do. And what Benjamin says here in this passage, which I read just now, which is from the Thesis in the Philosophy of History, section 11, reference to the critique of Marx's critique of the Gotha program. You got to now read that again. So, so that's about it for today. And I know I've given you the Agamben essay on from the not living in the end times. What am I thinking? What is that? Oh, The Time That Remains. It's such a beautiful title of Agamben's book. So I've told you to read that. I don't know how much you have done, and since the last lecture, I've given a long gap. So I hope you guys are catching up. And I told you to read this thesis in the philosophy of history. But now, what I've done today is given you an idea of the notion of time, and I want you to mull over this notion, and that's the only way you can really get a hold of Benjamin, because Benjamin is often appropriated by all these postmodernists, and Benjamin is appropriated by all these I don't know, all these fancy media activists, and they just treat Benjamin as you are a flaneur in real life, as we just a consumer of all these cultural artistic artifacts and all of that. So what I've also done then is that I've told you about the notion of time. It's a kind of a curtain raiser. It's a curtain raiser, it's an introduction to the notion of time in Benjamin. But what I've also done here is that I brought in Marx here. So what I would like you to do is now already approach Marx, because I don't think we have more than several lectures now. I mean, we are coming to the end of this course, end of the semester. I know the what the end of the semester means itself is a open question today with the coronavirus and lockdown. But I think we've already come to Marx through Benjamin, and I would like you to go through the in this YouTube channel, Ulat Bansi channel. You will see that there is this thing called Marx in Bollywood. I want you guys to go through that. Marx in Bollywood. It is actually Marx's theory of value theory in Marx, because that's what you need. So I want you guys to be now really get into the thing. Benjamin has kind of made matters highly exciting but difficult for you. So when you are talking about the notion of time in Benjamin, you have to bring in Marx, because that's what he actually has in mind. Even though, Benjamin is also, you can approach Benjamin from a theological point of view, because he's talking about the Messiah, the Messianic notion of time. Messiah is like a Messiah. I mean, the Messiah will come and save us. It's the same Messiah, but Benjamin understands it in a different way. So Messianic time is precisely what is going on here. So you will see Marx, completely whatever you would imagine, political economy and economics and all of that. And then what is a Messiah doing there? But that's the great thing about Benjamin. So I want you to do that, and then which means that that YouTube video on which is already there in the channel, that will take you to Marx's theory of value, and then that's how we can really be able to open up the meaning of the thesis in the philosophy of history in Benjamin. And whatever I've told you today on the notion of time, image, equivalence, equality of conditions, the viral, what is viral, um, and also the connection with the global. And if you make any, if you imagine that this is only about capitalism or something like that, then that's where I have given you an example, so that you don't go in that direction, but you will be able to broaden it to the larger human condition. I've also given you the example of language itself, right? The moment the image starts, so the image is not just photography, which Benjamin would be talking about, but the image as such. In fact, one can even say, going back to this discussion we had earlier about experience and storytelling, we can even say the moment the storytelling happens, That conflict between the time bound, it is what it is, and the quote unquote timeless representation, the image starts. So that would mean that we can even go back to ancient mythology. The moment the myth begins, the myth about how the society, how we came to be, the genesis. There's this excellent story coming from the Adivasis of Chhattisgarh. I mean, today we call it Chhattisgarh. Dandakaranya, right? You see, I have to say Dandakaranya like that. Bastar, about the origin story. So the mother, so the earth is the mother, sky is the father, and they were joined like this. And then it had to separate for us to exist. Now that's a story. That's a myth. That's a creation story among Adivasis in India. Similarly, if you go to Vedic stories, you'll find similar references about how we came about. So there's this Om, that ancient syllable out of which we came. But the moment you say anything like that, how we came, you make any kind of story. We came because of Om, because it has all the sounds and vibration is connected to wave particles. Wave particles are connected to positron, magitron, electron, proton, nucleus, cell, and then you have a human being, right? The moment you make a story, by the way, the coronavirus is really about the cell, what's happening inside the cell, right? So the moment you have a story, you already creating a representation, an image of any kind. So do that, and then so now we are entering that phase of this course where you have to spend a lot of time really going through and you have to undergo an internal churning of your own to really get this things that we're talking about here. Those of you interested, look at Jorge Luis Borges' poems. Borges, that's Borges, that's a Spanish poet. And if you look at his poetry, then you will find that kind of a notion of time. You can also look at all kinds of time travel things, time travel. So it could be some movies. It could be that movie which is what is that? Where the moment you imagine you are doing a crime, the police already knows from before that you are about to commit the crime, and they stop you just as you are about to commit the crime. Minority Report, I think. It could be Minority Report, I think. I'm not sure, but I am venturing. Minority. I think it's called Minority. You can check. So all of that. So go through all of that. Time travel, this, that. I have those who have done my political theology classes who would remember. Would remember. I mean, I have other examples from Kabir and all. Kabir, Guru Nanak, and all. So I won't go into that today. So we'll stop here. Thank you, everyone who has thanked me here. And I have to see you. I hope to see you in the next class. I can see Chepal is there. And there are others. Levin is there. Thank you. So I'll keep it at this today, and we'll have a class again next Monday. For some reason, I thought even this class was on Monday. So let's. Are we fine with keeping it on Monday? Which is, I'm always looking for a calendar, but there's no calendar here, so I have to look in the computer. So next Monday, which is the What's that? Yeah, 6th, 12th, 13th. Yeah, that's 13th. Yeah, that's 13th. So we'll have a next class on the 13th, Monday, 10:30. That's 13th Monday, 10:30 a.m., right? Yeah. So let's do that. I got to go today. So guys, please like go through everything that I've told you. And in the last class, I had mentioned the Jameson essay. It's called. So please go through this Frederick Jameson essay. It's called Walter Benjamin or Nostalgia. You'll find it online. And then I guess I have suggested one more. I can't remember. But go through the Jameson essay and the thesis in the philosophy of history. Right. So that's about it. And Devavati, are you here? Um, um, uh, so let's do that, and and um, and I'll see you guys next Monday. And please go through this lecture and the Marx lecture, which is already there on this YouTube channel. And coming together with all of this. Okay, so some of us have serious concerns in attending online lectures, as we had to go to towns and villages due to the pandemic. Yeah, no, that's fine, Vinith. I know a lot of these things. I told all of you to find another alternative, another way. Nobody suggests any alternative. So if you want, I can stop these online lectures. Do you want me to stop it? Just let me know. You can put your comments even after I go offline now. So if you want, if you think these online lectures are not good and there are people who are being left out because of this, let me know. But you guys need to make a consensus, because I'm not able to hear from all of you. And even in the last lecture, I had mentioned that yeah, I mean, I have addressed this concern in the last class. So let's see what we can do about it. If there are anyone, why don't they? I know. Can you make a list of people who are not able to listen to this? I want a list. I want people to put them out there. Who are these people who are not able to connect, so that then I do something for them? So can you give me a list? Can you email me a list of people who are not able to connect, so that I know, right? So that we can find another way out. So yeah, I looked at the Discord link. But I couldn't really figure out. So please find out. You guys should also help me in finding another way to kind of do this, because I'm sure you want to use your time and and go through things, and so find a way out. Give me a concrete suggestion. Don't just say, can you find another this thing? I know as much about technology as you guys do. But I want a list of those who are unable to do this and why they're not able to do this. Yeah, that's true. It cannot, right? So let's do that. You make up your mind. You will find me again on Monday, and then you can give me more comments about what to do about this. So make up your mind. So I got to go right now. But send me, email me a list of people who have not been able to do this, so that maybe I can do something, send them, or audio files or something. And Sandra, it's very easy. If you guys want to like just rip out audio files out of this lecture, that's very simple. Why don't you make a in your WhatsApp group and all, you can share that. You can share the audio files, you know, among all of you, and you get like you can share it on Telegram, you know, right? So you can do that. You can share it. You don't have. Not everyone has to watch it with the video. And then whenever they get a chance, it's not that some people are like really have no access. Maybe later, once the lockdown is over, maybe they come back, or I don't know. I don't have a full picture. Actually, this is some of the things we should also address to the head. I would suggest also address to the head. This has to be also, there should be a policy decision at the level of the department, because we have been told to do online classes. The university has told us to do online classes. So either there should be a initiative from the department saying we are not doing any of this, just sit back, we will see whatever happens after the lockdown. So, but there is a clear directive from the university that do these online things, right? So anyway, see you guys next Monday. Make up your mind. We can change the format. We can try other things. Yeah, that's very good. That's very good if you're writing to the dean of students and all. So, and then, Sandra, when the lockdown opens, one can again like help the other students who are this thing. So I definitely have that in mind. Okay, so I'll see you guys next Monday. See if you send me an email so that I know, and if there are any students who are kind of not able to get into this, then maybe we can do it. Okay, so I am ending it here.